I hope you've had a chance to take a look at the issue routing and American governance model that's in the Week 8 folder. I'd like to provide a quick overview of what's in that model, what it represents, and give some context to some ideas that we've been talking about so far in this class. So the idea is that problems that come up in society, members of the public say to the government, we want these things taken care of, we want a response from you, we need your help. Well, those problems get filtered through what I like to call a legal switchboard. The United States Constitution, state constitutions, federal law, state law, create legislation that creates these organizations that respond to the public need. And so you have fire departments, police departments, social services, schools, any government organization has been designed by legislation to go forth and meet the public needs. And the executive branch takes over and runs those organizations. And prior to the early to mid 1900s, there wasn't a major expectation that the government would get involved in a lot of the public problems that we have today. The idea was that there was pushback to society to say, hey, go take that to a church, go take that to a philanthropic organization. We don't really have the government institution to deal with that, but then pressure kept mounting and problems kept getting bigger and more complex. And so government organizations, not only new ones were created, but other ones were expanded. And so people go to the organization that they think is the one that's suited to their issue, and they can either go to the organization and have their problem solved or addressed adequately, and they're like, hey, great, I'm happy, I'm on my way. But sometimes the problem's not addressed, and many times it just falls through the cracks, and then therefore we have these options. What are the options? Well, one is just to ignore it, and you know what, I'm not going to get anywhere, I'm tired of dealing with the government, I'm just going to leave it alone. One of the more common options is that we refer people to other organizations. Well, we don't do that, but that organization over there does. What happens a lot is that people go to that organization over there and present their problems and say, well, that's not us, that's them, and refer back to the original organization that sent them that way. And so people get tired of that, and then they just fall through the cracks and end up doing nothing. You have people in the public that don't like what's happening, and they try to create external pressure by going to the media, by forming or activating a public interest group or a special interest group. You can directly go to the organizations and plead with the powers that be to change the way they do business. And then you can file lawsuits, and hopefully the lawsuits get their attention. Otherwise, people can go to the politicians directly and say, hey, can you do a hearing on this, do some oversight on these organizations? We're not liking what we're seeing. Can you pressure these department heads? Can you change some laws? Can you make a new organization, consolidate organizations? There's all kinds of ways that the politicians can get involved to say, hey, move this in a different direction, whether formally or informally. So think about it this way in terms of where we've come from the beginning of this course to now. We've been mainly concentrating on, let's say you in a law enforcement organization, leadership within that silo, within that box. This is your world, this is your realm. Whatever this organization is tasked to do and your place in it, your job is to supervise, manage, lead within that box. Well, if you care about society and you care about solving problems rather than just reacting or responding to them, then you have to think in terms of, okay, are there public problems out there that are so interconnected and so complex that we can't do it by ourselves? We can try to make special teams within our organization. Cops are good at doing that, special teams, and for whatever problems come up, but we have a tendency to only operate or respond to the surface level issue, not the causal factors that are running deep down here. And the causal factors is what's going to take a networked approach. And this is what we call collaborative governance, making these institutions work together, bring their knowledge, skills, and abilities, their power, their influence, their contributions to a networked approach to deal with those complex public problems. Leadership looks a lot different in this environment. In law enforcement, knowing law enforcement to be a paramilitary organization, you have structure, you have this chain of command. Well, when you have a collaborative network, who's in charge? When nobody's really in charge. It's a collaborative, cooperative effort here. Completely different culture, completely different chain of command. You still report to your own agency, but how do you get things done here? And there's an entire field in the collaborative governance literature that talks about this. And Mark Moore, the Creating Public Value book, is one of the great authors that talks about this collaborative approach, and other people at Harvard University. They have a course on collaborative governance there. I took that course, it's amazing, and it really teaches you how to think in facilitating this kind of approach. Because remember, the primary institutions, family, church, school, when they fail, government gets involved, and government gets involved in a very fragmented way. Get bounced back and forth between agencies. Agency does maybe a surface level response or kicks it down the road to somebody else. We need more of this when it comes to getting to those causal factors of what's going on so we can actually reduce crime. We can actually disincentivize those factors or mitigate those factors that are leading to crime and leading to academic failure. So in this last week of this course, obviously we're not going to get very deep in collaborative governance, but I want this to be on your radar. I want you to think in terms of how can we do better for the public in these complex problems that are so difficult to resolve. We know we can't do it by ourselves. We have to do something here. If you study collaborative governance, you're going to recognize that collaboration doesn't mean cooperation. Because even here, we can have this, hey, we're going to get together and do some work, and it's all this surface level cooperation. That's not collaboration. It goes much deeper than that. So some other names in, obviously, the article from Agronoff, Repositioning Public Administration, but some other authors, Jack W. Meek out of the University of La Verne, he's got a lot of publications, and there's many out there. Archon Fung from Harvard University wrote a book called Empowered Participation, talks about this, getting the public involved. My dissertation was on collaborative governance. I created a framework to inform and basically guide people in these organizations to create and operate a collaborative network. And I came up with a concept called the 5 C's. Contemplation, conversation, criteria, capacity, consent. Contemplation. What's the nature of the problem that we're facing? Are we looking at surface issues? Or are we getting to the causal factors? What's a real problem here? And part of my dissertation I talked about, well, academic failure is a major precursor toward criminal behavior in the future. So what's really causing academic failure? Is it bad teachers? No, my study found that 87% of the variance in academic achievement was explained by crime and poverty, factors outside of the schools. And so no single organization can adequately address those outside factors. We need a collaborative network. So contemplation, what's the true nature of the problem that you're facing? Next one is conversation. Who do I need to involve in a discussion about how to address this complex, interconnected problem that spans all of our silos? And what can we contribute to it? Criteria. Well, how do you activate the network? What's the criteria for actually us as a network responding? And so I go into a lot of details in terms of how we get the network activated and what each member does. The next C is capacity. Do we have the personnel, the budget, the money, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and the leadership capabilities and management capabilities to operate in a collaborative network? We already have massive leadership challenges just being a leader within that silo. Imagine a completely different skill set, really the skill set of a collaborative engineer to make this happen in all the organizations. In that capacity, you have to look at these organizations and go, okay, where are we wasting time, energy, effort? Where is it that we're just doing this because nobody's really complained about it, nobody's asked us to do anything different? Where are we having so many inefficiencies that we can correct to buy more time and be better stewards of the money that's entrusted to us to behave and act here rather than wasting time here? And then you have consent. Political overseers consent, but the consent of the public. And this is where Archon Fung's book, Empowered Participation, is very helpful. The idea is that how do you engage in meaningful, ongoing dialogue with the public that can help inform not only the silos, but the network of here's what we, the public, are asking you for. Here's what we need. And have that ongoing conversation back and forth with them so that they can create a demand for it politically and they can support it operationally. And then, of course, the political overseers, well, we can go to them too and say, hey, we need more money. We need maybe grant money, more regular money in our budgets. We need your support. We need a new position, maybe even a new organization, anything that the politicians can do to make that happen. So again, contemplation, conversation, criteria, capacity, consent, basic framework for making things happen within a collaborative setting. Like I said, there's a lot more to it. I just want to encourage you at this stage of the game to be thinking about leading here as you develop your skill set, leading in the silos. Let me know if you have any questions.